12D Model is a module-based software, so you do not need to pay for features or modules you will not require. Here is the module map, which has all possible modules of 12D on it. The nodes.4d file contains a unique key for your license or licenses and determines which particular modules are able to be used by those licenses. When modules on your licenses are updated, such as when you require additional or the removal of modules, a new nodes.4d file will need to be sent to you, which will unlock these features. No change will need to be made to the physical USB dongle at your organization. When purchasing a 12D model license, a nodes file executable will be sent to your email, which has the extension .12d, then the version of the nodes file executable, then N. This nodes file executable needs to be run on each computer which is required to access 12D model software. This is unless you have the nodes file stored on a server, which will be discussed in subsequent videos. This particular nodes file executable I have on my desktop is for the licenses on my USB network code meter dongle. I also have a separate nodes file executable for the license on my USB standalone code meter, not shown here. When the nodes file executable is run, if there is no existing local nodes file on your workstation, you will only have an option to click install, which will create a nodes file in the location C12D and then the version of the nodes file executable. You'll see the nodes file has now been created here. I'm finished with this nodes file executable and will now change this over for the nodes file executable for my USB standalone code meter, and we'll continue. I've now switched the nodes file executables over. Now if there is an existing local nodes file in the location C12D14 or whichever version you are using, when the nodes file executable is run, you will be presented with three options: prepend, replace, or append. Both the prepend and append options will combine the existing nodes file and the new nodes file. Append will place the new nodes file at the bottom of the combined nodes text file, whereas prepend will place the new nodes file at the top. Replace will delete the existing nodes file and replace it with the new. Prepend will usually cover all bases because when the nodes file is read, the new unique key will be at the top and read before any of the out-of-date unique keys lower down in the nodes file. Only ever select replace if you are positive all licenses within your organization are controlled by that particular nodes file executable. Append is rarely the best option. I will select prepend and install. You'll notice that a nodes1.4d file has been created in the location C12d14. This is a backup of the previous nodes.4d file. This nodes.4d file expires after a period of time which is set when the nodes file executable is created by 12D administration. When you purchase a 12D model license, you are purchasing a perpetual license. That is, of course, unless you do specifically purchase a subscription license. So when you require a new nodes file, one will be generated and sent to you immediately. Upon opening 12D model, you will be given a month of notice when the nodes file is about to expire, giving you time to contact us. More relevant for larger organizations, it is common to have this nodes.4d file stored and accessed from a central server location, so that every 12D model user does not need to manually update the nodes file on their workstation when a new one is generated. Instead, this is done once and then shared between users. We will cover the required setup for this particular situation later in this video series when discussing the environment configurations, or env_configs.4d file. However, now for this demonstration, I will create a new folder on my desktop which will act as a non-standard location. You can think of it as a server, and make a copy of the nodes file and place it in this folder as your server administrator would need to do. After this is set up, when a new nodes file executable is sent to you, for example, when new licenses are purchased or an existing nodes file expires, you will need to update the nodes file on your server. I'll delete this nodes file executable here on my desktop because I'm finished with it, and drag the new nodes file executable to my desktop from the email which is sent by 12D administration when licenses are updated. If you have one server administrator who is responsible for updating nodes files on your server, you could assume that they have the most up-to-date nodes file on their C drive, as I do here, because I have compiled the nodes file on my workstation. In this case, the new nodes file executable can be run. Select prepend, which will update the nodes file on the C drive, and select install. You'll also notice in this panel there is a destination field. If you want to write this nodes file directly to your server location, bypassing the writing of the nodes file to your C drive first, you can select your server location in that field. Then that new nodes file is moved to the server. I won't actually replace the nodes file here because I have another situation to show. If it is a new server administrator doing this update, and they do not have the current up-to-date nodes file on their C drive, then they have a couple of options. If they want the nodes file on their C drive in the location C12D14, or whichever version you're using, then they should copy the nodes file from the server to their C drive, update the nodes file there, and move the new combined nodes file back to the server. If they do not want to have the nodes file on their C drive, they can write the nodes file directly to the server, bypassing writing to the C drive, as I will show. I'll delete the nodes file first from the C drive to replicate this situation. Then run the nodes file executable, and under destination, select the server location. And install. You'll see now we get a backed up nodes file, nodes.1.4d, on the server.